Welcome back, boys.
I had soda up my nose. It literally.
We're using this one.
No,
My name's Rob.
come on.
This
No.
is Sarah.
We're starting over.
No, it's perfect. Let's go with it.
No.
We are showing you the biggest, dumbest thing we've ever purchased. This is a 2003 E450 Ford Shorty School Bus Conversion, and it's
Skoolie.
it's the cheapest one we found in the country. And the reason we bought this is because we YOLO'd on some land in southwest Colorado. Pre-built sheds at this altitude are actually pretty expensive because of the snow load ratings. Then I looked into just buying the materials myself and building the shed and making Sarah do most of the work.
Putting me to work, yeah.
Even that was really expensive. So this was a way to kind of basically justify buying another vehicle. And it kind of, I think it's going to work out. Before we get into this video, I do want to say I'm not going to trash the people who built this. Ray, love you. But people learn, okay? And it's okay to just dive into it and figure it out. And you're going to do better next time. I'm going to show you everything wrong with this, hopefully to help you build it better without making these mistakes. And we're going to talk about the potential as well. I mean, it's cool. It's school. Stay in it.
And the only reason we know is because we've made these mistakes before, so there's that.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a few decades of building dumb things under my belt, so, you know, this was a lot of work. So when I am talking about things, I don't want this to be insulting or demeaning. I mean, this is a lot of amateur work.
Wow, no.
No, that's what it is. It's just like, it's not a professional build. This is what someone built having no experience, okay? And that's also why it was cheap, so that's kind of why I bought it. If it was really nice and it cost 30 grand, I wouldn't have bought it, so.
But a lot of TLC went into it, and I think a lot of potential, and it will be easier for us. We can just build off of that instead of having to construct from the ground up, which we're doing on a different project, and it's awful, so.
Yeah, we'll show you everything wrong with the bus, and hopefully the next video will be fixing some of it. Oh, and one other thing, guys, if you came here for school buses, this channel hops around a lot. I mean, in the next few months, we're going to get into extremely high-speed death boats, and then maybe snowmobiles and land work. I mean, the ADD in this channel name is because I have ADD, and I just kind of hop around. So you've been warned.
It will be entertaining.
All right, let's get into this thing. All right, so this is a 2003 Ford E450 Shorty.
Skoolie!
And it has a 7.3 liter Power Stroke diesel, which is kind of one of the reasons I bought it, because this motor is kind of rad. It hasn't really had a ton done to it on the exterior other than the paint job. And the paint job, again, this is an amateur build, and I bought this bus for a reason, because I don't care, but you know, it's just, it wasn't prepped properly. I see brush marks in some spots, but I don't care, because this is a temporary movable building for us, not a show vehicle. So
Plus, I love that it's green.
Exactly, we're on the green team.
Hey.
They've left all the school bus mirrors, which I think I'm probably going to get rid of some of them and modify them because they're kind of obnoxious.
I think just move them, because visibility in this thing was definitely an issue, but yeah, it wasn't particularly helpful because I wasn't looking for children right here. I needed to see further back. Not...
Yeah, and when you're looking for something, it sucks to have like 9 different mirrors to look into. I'd rather have like 2, okay, or like 4 really good ones. So I think we might be doing that. One of the coolest things about this build is the ladder and the rack on it. I mean, a lot of this stuff, I'm going to show you what was wrong in this build, but the ladder and the rack are actually really awesome and well built. So I'll hop up there quick. So there you go, on top of the bus. There are no railings, so don't fall. And for some reason, the decking here was only half completed. I'm not sure if they lost interest or what. I bought lumber, so we're going to be finishing that in the next video. Up top, we have a Max Air ventilation roof fan and 2 Renogy 100-watt solar panels. These are the monocrystalline ones, so they're pretty decent. And then I'm going to show you the charge controller and power system in a minute here. The other cool thing about a school bus conversion is they have this escape hatch, which lets in a lot of air. What is up, Lexi? She doesn't see us. Another thing I wanted to mention here is the paint is peeling off. And the reason this is peeling off is that it was improperly prepped. What you want to do is scuff the existing enamel and then hit it with a degreaser made for paint and bodywork, and then the paint should stick a lot better. We're going to be doing that in the next video just to help make sure this thing stays sealed and we don't get any crazy leaks.
It's like free climbing. 2 points of contact at all times.
Exactly. Safe start, boys. Heads up.
Hey, nice. Caught it!
So yeah, the ladder and the roof, very well built, very sturdy. Super stoked about that. The other thing I want to talk about real quick is this has a Chinese diesel heater installed on it. You'll see this in a lot of conversions. They're awesome. They work really well. This was improperly installed. And the reason I say that is that the exhaust pipe right here goes down and then comes back up. So what's going to happen when you run this is condensation and moisture is going to build up and rot out this section of the exhaust pipe. What you want is for your exhaust to be facing downward. Here's the back. Just open it right here.
Hi.
What up, Wicket? Here's the tank for the diesel heater. I just have a bunch of random stuff in here. Back behind here is the power system. I'm not even sure that's going to show up on camera. There you go. We've got two 100 amp hour lead acid batteries and a Renogy MPPT solar controller, along with a 1500 watt inverter. Was this wired correctly? We'll get into that in a minute. Is it working right now? Yes. So we're going to mess with it later. There's a canopy. We might open that in a little bit here. It's been pretty windy. I've heard that it works okay, so we'll look at it. So one of the coolest parts about a Skoolie is the door, but you need security on it. So what they have done here is they have put in a deadbolt on each side. It kind of holds the door shut, but if you look at a real school bus, they have that handle that kind of cams and keeps them tight. There's nothing here to really do that. So the workaround is you have this little guy right here, and then a hole in the floor, which sort of seals it, kind of. Let's go inside. Alright, we got a shoe rack here, some hooks, a little, I don't know, this is where I put my sunglasses for now. Up here, it's pretty basic bus stuff. We have a first aid kit, stickers, and then in here is some of the emergency flares and warning triangles and whatnot. This is where all the wiring for all the bus-specific lights are located, along with the fuses. Another thing I noticed was the odometer says 198,000 miles, so you figure plenty of life left. But then up here, there's a sticker from 2015, and it somehow had 226,000 miles. Yeah. No idea what the actual mileage is. Seems to run fine, though. Up here in the cab, it's pretty standard Ford van stuff. You can see we have a cracked vinyl seat with a seat cover and, you know, kind of loose steering. I think the front suspension needs to be rebuilt on this thing, but it drives okay for now. The other issue I was having was a ton of heat was coming out right here, like a ton of it. Like if you put a cold drink in here in 5 minutes, it would be warm. It was like just getting blasted with heat. So I'm not really sure if there's a seal missing or something from the doghouse, but this is how you service the engine in here. We purchased this vehicle as kind of a non-running project, and I paid someone else to fix it. Typically I fix things myself, but in this situation I needed to drive halfway across the country, get something, and drive it a few states away, so I bit the bullet on it. And I will say that although this engine is awesome, and I'll show you guys that in a second, the parts for it are extremely expensive. So if you need injectors, you're talking like $2 grand for just the injectors. And if you're doing that, you might as well do the glow plugs. And it's just a slippery slope. Once you're paying someone to get this doghouse off and service it, you might as well do a few other things. Hopefully this should be good for quite a bit longer, because these engines are known to pretty much last indefinitely in some form of running state.
Million mile, don't they say?
Yeah, I mean, this is like a commercial motor. The only reason they got rid of it wasn't for reliability or torque or gas mileage, it was emissions. So it's a dirty girl, which is perfect. So here we have a privacy curtain, which helps control the heat. We were here yesterday and it was probably 35, so keeping this shut kept the heat in here a little bit. So this is the interior of the school bus. We have a little rack here. I don't know, let's start this way, I guess. So here's the bathroom. Right there, there is a multi-stage camping toilet. I haven't used it yet. So there's the loo. This is a 2-stage camping toilet. We haven't used it yet. So far we've just been using the old bucket method with some fancy bags because I haven't worked up the courage to clean that yet. But in here we have a little mirror, clothing rack, little storage for bathroom stuff in there, and a full-length mirror if you are going to go out on the town, I guess.
What's interesting is that this isn't on a caster or anything. It's just they put this lock on it to lock it in place there or lock it in place when it's out. But by itself, it's just a piece of wood around it. So like to get it back, you have to a little bit. There we go.
Yeah.
It might be nice if it was on a little track.
This whole bus is built like that. You need to learn where to push on things in order to shut things, because I don't think the people who built this have ever built anything before. And again, not insulting anyone, but you see things like this and the way I would build things versus the way they built things.
It's totally the way I would have built it. He knows more.
I'm just OCD about things. So, you know what? I'm going to learn to live with this and just make it good enough, because that's all we need right now. Now, we've only owned this thing for like 3 days, so I don't know if this is going to leak yet. But, yeah, there's some duct tape and silicone, and I don't know what's going on with this thing yet. Hopefully it survives. You want to show this part?
Sure.
So, originally there was a table here. And
little swivel table.
They attached it with screws. You don't want to do that because screws don't really have a ton of strength, okay? You're just relying on a little bit of threads, and when you have a table out here and you lean on it, you get a ton of leverage. You want to use through bolts with washers, and you want to clamp something because that's going to give you the strength and rely on the material strength, not the little itty-bitty threads. So we're going to fix that in a minute here.
And then under here is storage. And also the diesel heater.
There's a 5 kilowatt diesel heater right there. I just installed one in Bad Astro. If you want to see the link of that, click right here. But they've been working awesome. It's been cold here, and we've been staying toasty while we've been sleeping.
Yeah. I guess they haven't... the previous owner said they installed this, but never used it. So we'll have to see how it works. So
here's the controls for the diesel heater. And this was a litter box. I don't think it's ever been used, hopefully, but that's storage for now.
Instead of having some sort of handle on here, we were thinking about maybe just putting a hole through that we can put a finger in and lift it up. That way there's not something underneath the cushion, but really needs to be something, because otherwise we have to sort of wedge our fingers on the side and lift, and that's just not really... I don't want to pinch my fingers.
So the previous owners built curtains for this thing. This probably worked fine in New Mexico, but at our altitude and elevation and climate here, we're going to need to probably come up with a better way, because that's going to be major heat loss on this thing in the winter. And we're
so many windows.
Yeah, and with single pane glass, you're talking like just letting your heat escape. So we're going to have to try to figure out a way to insulate these curtains to try to keep the heat in. I'm not too concerned about reflecting it out just because of where we are, but it's something to think about when you are making curtains. Make them out of a really heavy material. If you can figure it out, also sew in some Reflectix or some bubble wrap or something to give them an air gap. So here's the Max Air roof vent fan. This is just the manual one. It's fine. It's working off 12 volts, so you don't really need to click anything. So probably the biggest mistake in this build was the power system. The only thing is 12 volt in this whole bus are the fan, the water pump for the sink, and maybe that little fan over there. I think that's it. Mm-hmm. And everything else is running off of an inverter. So you have a couple outlets with built-in USB ports in them, but in order to even run the USB ports, you need to turn on the inverter. And so what you're doing there is you're starting with DC power in those big 12-volt batteries. You're converting that to AC with the big inverter, and you have a loss of power there. And then you're converting it back to 12 volts with an LED. So you're basically just wasting energy, and there's no way to do it. Like, there's no way to charge anything in here without turning on that inverter and sucking all your power. So what you want to do when you're building is you want to have two separate systems. You want an AC system hooked up to your inverter, but then you want as much of the build as possible running off 12 volts, because that's just going to be so much more efficient. Over here, really cool mural. I kind of want to work on this and make it a little punchier, but I dig the vibes of it. Very cool, man. So the bed is on this hinged platform with gas support struts, which is fine. It's what it is for now. I think originally they built it like a a couch that had a table and everything, and I think we might be doing that eventually because the Astro is honestly really comfortable to sleep in. But this is what we did just for now, short-term solution. You can get at the power bank system if you want to flip this up, and there's storage over there.
It flips up from both sides too, yeah.
Yeah, there's almost like a big hinge in the middle, so you can get to everything. You just, I don't know, you'd have to remove the whole mattress and everything.
Lexi likes the under here spot though. That's her little cubby.
Here's the kitchen. All the cupboards have some things that sort of keep them open.
That one stays open.
This one works really well. So here's the sink, little 12-volt pump. Down there is where you put the water. That's the gray water. Pretty simple. You don't need to get under the vehicle to change anything. And then we have a bunch of cleaning supplies in here, along with a itty-bitty trash can.
There's also a line here if you wanted to hook up a big propane tank for the stove. I think right now it's just set up with one of those little, like, camping propanes.
We don't even know. We've been cooking with it. Haven't even looked. Maybe it'll blow up.
No, I've looked. It's a small one. It's a small little camping propane, yeah.
But yeah, this is kind of what I said. I mean, just look at these drawers here. In order to shut these drawers, you can't push on this side. You need to push on this side. Otherwise, they jam up. So
little quirks.
Little quirks.
I like the handle so that it looks like wood. Countertop's nice. Everything is. There's a couple little things, like there's some sharp edges here. They put aluminum on the inside edge to kind of insulate, which I think was smart, but the edge is a little rough. I think we might want to, I don't know, goober some silicone over that or something so that I don't cut myself. Seems like something I would do. Yeah, then down here we just have, it's a big storage area, but we just have our bins of food and dog food and stuff. There's the camp stove and a little camp oven, which is kind of awesome. We haven't gotten that working yet. And then in here, cutting board, and then it's a little, hardware needs a little, ooh, that one's stripping, I think. But come on. But then, you know, just a big cubby for food and whatnot. And then another storage one, and then the fridge.
So the fridge, yeah, in the ad it showed a nice 12-volt fridge, and that was not here when we purchased it. So this fridge only runs on AC. However, up here in the mountains, what I have found is that if you just leave it open at night and then shut it in the morning, it actually stays really cold. It doesn't require any power, so I think that's how we're using it for now. We have the subway tiles, very, very gram-worthy right there.
I like it. Oh, and then the cute little magnetic spice rack that she installed and hasn't even been used, I don't think, so. They put in a hardwood floor, which is nice. There's a couple spots where I don't know, it's where there's like holes in the floor and I could see daylight when I was cleaning. So I think we might want to silicone that in. I think it might have been another lock similar to the toilet. But speaking of that, there's another thing we might need to fix. I guess they had tried to have a shower in here at one point and then decided that that didn't quite work and made it into just this. But the drain hole is just still like that, and it has a rag in it. So we're gonna need to, especially since it's gonna be stored on the land, we need to not have anyone join us through that hole.
Mises. Abby.
Yeah, so we'll have to seal that up.
So anyway, this is the Karma Bus. That was its name before we owned it, and we're going to continue it.
Karma Chameleon!
Again, I'm not trying to be critical. There's just a lot of things that, you know, people make mistakes when they haven't built something before. And I think we're going to try to improve the build quality here and there. But overall, this is just a temporary shelter out west and a...
little adventure mobile.
Yeah.
Got some stickers of our own to add to that too. And then I decided all the places up here we haven't been, we have to go now.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Alright, so I think the electrical system is probably the biggest thing I want to fix immediately. But
yeah, that'll make you crazy until you fix it, so.
Yeah, no lighting, no good. We need to have good lighting in there.
I think it's got really good bones though. I think they've done a lot of really great work that we can build off of. And I love it.
Yeah, it's super cool. We got a lot of thumbs up, and people are driving by and honking at us constantly. So despite it being a 20-year-old bus with questionable mileage and build quality, it's still super freaking cool. So stay tuned for more of this, and we're gonna be, I don't know, we're not gonna be full-time bus lifers. We still have real jobs and stuff, but this is gonna be our Western home base, and we're going to make it ultra rad, right?
Yes.
Till next time, cheers.